A process defined as a system of operations in the design, development and production of one something, such as project. A process is a series of actions, changes, or operations that bring about an end result like a cost, schedule and technical performance objectives. When a customer has a need for a facility, the purchasing procedure begins. The nature of risk is influenced by this process of purchasing construction. Due to the fact that the item being purchased will be created, there are several complicated challenges in construction that might prevent the project from being finished on time and/or within budget. There are 4 phases in project life cycle, which is conceptual phase, planning phase, execution phase, and termination phase. The conceptual stage is important because it specifies the project's objectives, business concepts, business goals, and scope. The project manager convenes a meeting to learn about the needs, aims, and objectives of the customer and stakeholders. They also estimate the resources that the organization is willing to commit. Once the project team has been recruited and involved, they may proceed to the next stage of the cycle, which is the planning stage. The project manager organizes the creation of a project budget by providing estimates for labor, equipment, and materials as needed. Once the project manager has identified the job, established the strategy, built a team, assessed the performance and costs, the primary components of the planning process are completed. The planning phase is transformed into actions in the execution phase, and the project is carried out, with deliverables developed in response to client or customer demand. Last but not least, termination phase is the last and concluding step in the project life cycle. During the final closure, the importance is on providing the final deliverables to the customer, that is termination of supplier contracts, releasing project resources like transfer human and non-human resources to other organization, communicate the closure of the project to all stakeholders and conduct lessons learned studies to examine what went well and what didn't. Slide 6. Construction process. The construction process may be subdivided into conceptual, design, construction and operation and maintenance stage. Firstly, the client determines the need for the construction item and appoints and briefs consultants who study the client's requirements, present an overview of the design, and assess the project's feasibility. Secondly, a building project begins to take shape during the detailed design and tender stage. The design is completed at this point, and the purchase of materials and design services begins. Construction contracts are either put out to bid or a construction contractor is chosen. The aim is to keep the design team informed about the procurement process and to be prepared to submit the final design to the owner at the end of the process. There will be a lot of discussion and collaboration during the detailed design and tender phases. The design team, the contractor, and the owner will all share information and provide feedback on different design elements. You will also be creating a project schedule at the same time. Slide 7. Thirdly, construction stage. It's time to start digging, pouring concrete, bending rebar, and firing up the welder. The project has now transitioned from paper, or, more precisely, a CAD drawing, to the physical world. However, this is the phase with the most functioning elements and deadlines to manage. For things to function, each contractor and subcontractor must be on time and adhere to the blueprints. Creating project processes for each team and step of the process is crucial, but, with as many dependencies as there are during the building phase, it's even more important to keep everything running smoothly. Finally, the owner begins to utilize the project and incur expenditures. During the operations and maintenance phase, a construction project's advantages begin to accrue. During the operations and maintenance phase, the project's investment is being realized through the production of goods and services as well as the utilization of structures. Activities at various stages of a construction project. 1. Inception. Client considers project requirements, acquires land, sets up team, appoint and briefs architect/engineer. 2. Outline proposals. Members of the design team develop brief, consider the technical and functional feasibility of the client's intentions, make general proposals for the project including form, layout, height and floor area. Architect applies for outline planning approval. 3. Scheme design. Architect or engineer finalizes brief and with other consultants. Prepares sketch designs which are submitted to the client for approval. 4. Detailed design. Design team prepares the full design of the project and all relevant production information and contract documentation. Architect applies for building plan approval. 5. Tender. Architect or engineer invites tenders. Quantity surveyor evaluates them and reports to architect or engineer who recommends suitable contractor to the client. Client signs a contract with the successful bidder. 6. Project planning. Main contractor lets specialist and other contracts, prepares a program for the project and mobilizes resources for construction on site. 7. Site operation. Main contractor and subcontractor transform the production information into a physical facility. Members of the design team supervise construction. Architect or engineer issues payment certificates periodically on the recommendation of the quantity surveyor. Architect or engineer arranges and presides over site. Meeting. On completion of the building, client or architect applies for a temporary occupation license, which, if required, is granted by the Building Control Authority after it has inspected the building and tested the equipment and installations. An application for a final certificate of completion may be required after more stringent tests at a later date. 8. Operation. All faults becoming evident during the defect's liability period are made good by the contractor. Quantity surveyor prepares the final account for the project. Client arranges for the management and maintenance of the facility. A professional estate management consultant may be retained. Construction process. The construction process involves the translation of a client's needs and intentions. Then, prepare documentation like a cost plan, bill of quantities, specification, and drawing. finally, the construction phase. Next, pre-construction activities divide to 5 components, which are feasibility study, outline, conceptual design stage, preliminary design stage, design development stage, and completion of working drawings. Here I am going to explain that feasibility study is a ballpark estimate of project cost. A detailed feasibility study can take time in accordance with the size of the project. It will let the team know if the project is viable, needs to be adjusted, or is unlikely to succeed. Secondly, the conceptual design phase formally establishes the initial idea. It absorbs just enough engineering to provide management with a reliable assessment of likely performance, possible looks, basic understanding of the scope of the development effort, including marketability, labor requirements, and expected costs. Thirdly, preliminary design is the stage in which general project location and design concepts are determined. It includes all that is necessary to conduct a NEPA alternatives analysis and review process properly, but good preliminary design goes beyond that. Then, in design development, the schematic plans and elevations are reviewed, revised, and expanded to incorporate all the details and specifications required for construction. Project components are looked at to the smallest detail. These include interior and exterior building materials and finishes. Hence, a working drawing is also a drawing or blueprint based on explanations. It is also completed with a thorough plan and views that will help ensure the product construction or replication without any additional information. Activities during construction supervision. It consists to preliminaries, demolition, excavation and foundation, concrete and brickwork, finishes, mechanical and engineering works, external works, construction activities, variation order, progress payment, certificate of practical completion and certificate of fitness. Site preparation. There are 7 components. For site preparation, which is site clearing, earthwork, setting out and leveling, hoarding, dewatering. Systems, temporary buildings, and access. Key players. No description of the industry would be complete without including the other professional, government organization, and interested parties who are part of the total industry. The owner. No construction would ever be accomplished without owners who must make the decision to build the facility, define the need, provide the financing, and manage the construction process. The designer. Project owners select an architect or engineer to design their project. A constructor is someone who undertakes a construction project for an owner, like a general contractor, and may also include an owner who undertakes the entire or partial project by himself. Construction planning. It used to determine the organization, mission, objective, goals, and strategies. Construction control. Construction is monitored by project manager. IT used Microsoft Project, Primavera, sometime Excel. Beside that, cash flow, financial progress, and inspection and observation, physical progress. Monitoring and controlling construction project. The task of monitoring and controlling help to determine the objectives are within reach. Monitoring and control has to start at early stage of the project development since it has more impact on cost. Focusing on monitoring and control at the construction stage since many acknowledge of its difficulty. Monitoring is comparing the planned against actual. Using software can easily be updated and preparation of reports are standardized. Several methods used to monitor the work progress. These include time weightage, cost weightage, man days, and quality. Most common is using cost weightage. Gantt chart. Gantt chart is a great way to connect tasks and dates. Thanks to its two-axis nature. Once you create an assignment and define its start and end dates, you get one of the best visualized timelines that shows critical information at a glance. Project controlling procedure. First is project plan. Secondly, project implementation. Thirdly, measurement of work performance. Fourth, project control, and the final step is project updating in this project controlling procedure. In implementation of project controlling, there are 2 points, which is main office followed by design and procurement. Project site consists of construction and subcontract. There are 5 elements of project controlling, which are tools, forecasting, budget, action plan, and milestone. The first step to planning the project is to determine the scope of the project. The scope of the project is everything the company can effectively create or accomplish before the project's deadline. After establishing the project's primary goals, you can develop an action plan by identifying its major tasks. When developing the action plan, project managers often break the project up into smaller, more manageable goals to help them determine major roles and project checkpoints. Before creating the schedule and starting the project, it's important to understand what resources the project requires. When creating a schedule, it's important for project managers to understand how many resources the team requires for each step of the action plan and roughly how much time each step might take.